Welcome back to the Sports Complex on a Monday afternoon after the Super Bowl. On the show today, we'll get into Texas' big win over West Virginia, did what they needed to do, handled their business at home, which we just have not seen a lot, but it looked good on Saturday. Lots of other action happening in the Big 12. Another big game happening in the Big 12 tonight. We'll get into all that. The NBA is getting into All-Star Weekend week. So we'll get our final games and talk about what's happening in the NBA after the trade deadline before the All-Star game. We'll also, of course, talk some Super Bowl with the Chiefs winning again last night. We'll get into that. We'll talk a little other NFL news as well. The Cowboys make the DC position official about an hour ago. We'll talk about that as well as your text messages here on the show. 512-447-3776. 512-447-3776 is the text line number. That is where you guys can join the show. You guys drive the show. I just try to keep it on the rails. Whatever you want to talk about. If you have Super Bowl takes that you want to get in there, if you want to, if you have commercials that were your favorite, or if you have, theories or whatever else you want to get into, go ahead and send those in on the text line. 512-447-3776 is the text line number. We'll try and get to everybody here on the show today, talking Super Bowl, talking basketball, talking all the good things in sports. Let's get right to it. I hope everybody did have a fun time watching the game last night, as it was it's a Super Bowl. It's fun, and it was actually a great game, which you don't always get. You get an overtime game. You get a performance from Patrick Mahomes that you've come to expect now from Patrick Mahomes, but apparently, the reason why we said all week, I can't find a way to bet against Patrick Mahomes, and then he showed why. Kyle Shanahan, unfortunately, is going to have to get questioned again and question himself on some of the decisions he made in the Super Bowl. But at the end of the day, you just know those Chiefs and Andy Reid are really, really good. So I'm going to get more into the Super Bowl in the 5 o'clock hour. I hope you guys have some texts, that you have some takes and some questions, or some beliefs of why the Super Bowl went the way it did. We'll get to those as well as we get into it. But I do want to start off the show talking about Texas basketball. We try and go Texas basketball in the 4 o'clock a lot of times, and they did what they needed to do on Saturday, handling business. A team that has had a lot of problems getting started at home, a team that is, was in need of being able to handle business against a West Virginia team that they have a lot more talent than, but West Virginia was able to beat them in West Virginia, so you have to come back, and you hope not only is this a game that you go out and get a win, but you were hoping they could win like they did in a huge 36-point win, 94-58, putting up tons of points, letting almost everybody get into the game. It was nice to see that, there was that little bit at the beginning where they kind of went back and forth, and then all of a sudden Texas put their foot on the gas and never looked back. They win the first half 55-30, and they even win the second half 39-28. There wasn't as much. You didn't see a necessary slip in the second half. The reality was, in the second half, they played better defense than they played in the first half, that they went into the locker room and came back out, and the scoring wasn't still working as well. You weren't going to be able to shoot at the same clip you were shooting in the first half, but they were able to play better defense and slow down West Virginia even more, allowing only 28 points in that second half. But I mean, it's so many things that went well that, you wish you probably could have saved a little of it for other people. The fact that you had 5 turnovers in the game, you didn't turn the ball over, is something you want to see from this Texas team. If they can continue to hold on to the ball and not give the ball away. You rebounded the ball pretty well in the game. I mean, you do lose the rebounding battle by a rebound, but you rebound pretty well in the game. You don't necessarily get blown out there. Dylan Disu has himself a game, starts off perfect, still goes 7 for 10 from 3 with 27 points. I mean, and when you talk about what Dylan Disu's future is, and he has games like that where he's shooting the 3 like that, it really tells you, what potential he has at the next level, because everybody wants to stretch big now. Everybody wants to stretch big, and if Dylan Disu can continue to do that and shoot anywhere close to that, I mean, no one's shooting 70% all season. But just a great game from Dylan Disu across the board. Just playing really well. He was going up against some bigger guys that he may have had some trouble with in the past. Did not have any trouble there. Tyrese Hunter got going in the game. Goes 8 for 12, 3 of 4 from behind the arc. Makes a big difference there. Max Abmas, his level of contribution across the board seemed to be much better. He has 19 points. He shoots 6 of 13, so it wasn't that he is his best shooting game, but he does end up getting 6 rebounds. He doesn't allow them to get a ton of offensive rebounds on him. He does get 9 assists. He's very a part of the game on both ends, and you want to see that because I was critical of him, and I've been critical of him that when he's not scoring, when the team is struggling, he really doesn't turn it on the defensive end, and it becomes a problem. Like, it's a thing that's a pet peeve of anybody who follows basketball is if you see a ball bounce on a rebound and no one's running at it, no one's trying to get it, and then especially if the ball bounces and your guy gets it, you just can't allow that to happen. When you're trying to win, when your goal is to compete deep into March, you would like to be, you can't let the ball bounce to the other team. You have to go and get those. He was doing that in this game, and you want to see that continue. You need to see all the positives of this. You're not going to be able to shoot 65% from the field in the first half every week in every game. You're not going to be able to do that. But you can use some of the things of your effort and your ability to show that this is a team that can hang with anybody, that they can put up those big numbers. And, I mean, just put out a great game. And you look at the shooting numbers in the second half, they weren't great. They were 37%, but 43% from the three-point line in the second half of Texas. But impressively, the shooting numbers for West Virginia in the second half, West Virginia shot 50% in the first half. They just didn't get a ton of shots up because of turnovers and just not being able to get the ball out. But on the other side, in the second half, they only shoot 29%, 18% from three. Texas goes out and plays a much better defense in the second half, contributes to getting the big win. Texas also scores 29 points off of turnovers in the game. Something where you have to capitalize on your other team's mistakes, start to pull away, start to demoralize and demean the team by, compounding their mistakes by scoring on them. They were able to do that in the game. And it just kind of all came together for Texas in a game where you were able to walk away with that. This is your kind of bye week where you don't have a game during the week. You don't play again until Saturday, and it's a huge game on Saturday going to Houston. But you get your rest. You get to game plan for that a little bit more. You get to work towards that one a little bit more. But you have a really good taste in your mouth going into this week of practices. You're not going into it with a 5-point win over West Virginia where it came down to the wire and you had to have some big plays and you were missing a lot of shots and you weren't doing things well. You don't have that. So you have confidence going in. Confidence is great for shooters, and Texas needs to hit shots. That's when they're playing their best basketball, is when they are scoring and scoring at a high level and their field goal percentage is up. That hasn't been the case as much as we'd like recently, but right now it is becoming something that they could build on this. And if you use this West Virginia game, where I get it is a 3-7 in conference play, West Virginia, they're 8-15 on the season. They're not a great team. We know that. That's why we were so upset when Texas lost to them in West Virginia. But to see the growth of the team, to lose that game at West Virginia and not play and not show up in it for a team that was not as good, to now when you see what Texas did, where they came out with a mission, played with the intensity they needed to, played with purpose. The things they were doing are all meant to be done, and they were able to go in and get a big win against the team. And it's not that, you're supposed to be West Virginia, but in the Big 12, it's hard to blow teams out, and it feels good that Texas had the ability to pull that off on Saturday. It leads you into a good week of practice. It leads you into a good week going into a game against Houston. To the end of this next schedule for the next few weeks for Texas is going to be really, really rough. You have road games against Houston and Kansas and Baylor and Tech and a lot of teams coming up that are just going to be rough. They're going to be rough because, those are some good teams, and it is very hard to win on the road in the Big 12, but you have to be able to win at home. They're able to get that done on Saturday. You love to see that. You love to see that guys got on the court. Preston Clark even got in, Devin Pryor. We saw Gavin Perryman get in and get an assist and get a rebound. Seeing those guys come in and get to play at the end of the game, getting to not having to play Caden Shedrick too many minutes and letting him get a little bit more rest over a long week now where he won't be as beat up and maybe a little bit healthier and get even healthier as he gets into that Houston game where you're going to need him to be able to go out there and play physical with Houston on Saturday. You let your guys get a little bit more rest. I mean, your guys that played the most, Kendall Weaver and Max Asmus, both played just over 30 minutes, but no one played the full 40 minutes. No one went that 38 minutes, and you have the full week off this week. It was a great win for Texas to be able to get that done. You're supposed to. It's not like you get any extra credit for beating a team that you're supposed to beat, but putting up a 36-point win is always impressive, no matter who it is in Division I and conference play in the Big 12. It was a good win for Texas. Some other games across the Big 12 over the weekend. Houston does go get a road win at Cincinnati. They win 67-62. Cincinnati really tried to get in there. They played them tough. 17 offensive rebounds for Houston, though, is kind of what swings it. The Cincinnati defense, though, they played tough. They hold Sheed to 6 of 25 shooting. He still gets 16 points up, but you hold him to just really not shooting the ball very well. And some good bench play from Skillings, has 13 points. Jizzle James has 10 points. I know our favorite, Jizzle James, has 10 points in the game as well off the bench, but they can't get it done against the Houston team that I believe is now number 3 in the country as Texas will be playing them on Saturday. UCF heads to Texas Tech. Texas Tech gets the job done. Another very even game, but really Texas Tech had a couple more threes than UCF, and they had a couple more free throws. And that's really the difference in this game. It was a close one. UCF played them tough. Texas Tech at home is able to pull that one out. But in reality, it was, UCF's 8 of 12 from the free throw line. Texas Tech is 13 of 15. And if you look at pretty much the rest of that game, it was all pretty even. They were shooting about the same. The defense was tough on both sides of the ball. That's what Texas Tech likes to do. Play rough and physical when you get down there in Lubbock. That is going to be a tough matchup for Texas when that one comes up as well. Kansas State cannot get it done at BYU, losing 72-66. 14 points off turnovers for BYU, able to take advantage of Kansas State being a little heavy on the turnovers all season long. BYU can take advantage of that. And then the big game over the weekend, Baylor was at Kansas. Kansas got it done, but barely. Best game for Missy so far this season, I believe, with 21 points. Baylor out-rebounded Kansas by a ton, 42-25. They out-rebounded. They played them pretty well. They didn't allow anybody to really blow them out. For Kansas, again, they had the issue that Johnny Furphy, the kid from Australia, the freshman that has kind of been the spark plug of when they're playing really well is when he's playing really well, then everybody else fits in. He goes 2 for 8, only has 11 points, 0 for 6 from 3 for him. But he is kind of what makes him go, and so they weren't able to pull away. The reality is Baylor should have won this game. They had 21 turnovers in this game. 21 turnovers for Baylor. If they don't turn the ball over as much, and I get Kansas is forcing that to a point, but if you take out some of your little mental errors for Baylor on the road there, they could have got a huge road win as they continue on their season. They're not able to get it done. It is hard to win on the road in the Big 12. But Baylor got close, was not able to get it done. Kansas is going to go try and get a big road win tonight, though, having to come back from that close game against Baylor on Saturday and go to a Monday game against Texas Tech in Lubbock. That'll be a game to watch tonight at 8 o'clock. 2 really good teams. Texas Tech is actually favored in this game. Should tell you how Texas Tech has been doing this season. That they're favored. Kansas has not looked great for most of the season. They just haven't. So I think Texas Tech has a really good shot to have a huge win against the number 6 team in the country, Kansas, tonight. That would be a big, big win for Texas Tech if they can get that done tonight. Looking over at the NBA, the Rockets drop a couple of games over the weekend. Fred VanVleet is out with injury, and it showed 22 turnovers on Friday, 17 turnovers on Saturday as they lost to the Raptors 107-104 on Friday. And then the Hawks 122-113 on Saturday. DeJounte Murray, 34 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists in that game as well. Had a really big game. Now that the Hawks have decided to keep DeJounte Murray and did not move him at the trade deadline. A lot of speculation about that. He stayed, had a big game, and the Rockets drop a couple. But it shows you that, when you have that young team, having a veteran point guard is is a positive thing. As much as Fred VanVleet has not been the greatest player this season, his leadership on the court was surely missing this week for the Rockets. They'll hopefully be getting him back very soon. He may be back tonight as they take on the Knicks tonight. They would be love to have him back when you're playing a game against Jalen Brunson and a good Knicks team. That is, I believe Randall's still out. I think when no OG Anunoby is out. So they are a little beat up. This is a shot where you can take a go. You may be able to go in and get some, be able to steal a win there against the Knicks. Spurs drop a game to the Nets, 123-103. Cam Thomas puts up 25 points. The Nets just shoot really well, and the Spurs defense was not there, especially on the perimeter. They shoot 56% from the field, 50% from three for Brooklyn. The Spurs just have to play better defense if they want to continue in these games. They can compete with teams that don't shoot very well, but, that's not a great way to run your organization, is to competing with those teams. The Spurs play tonight against the Toronto Raptors at Toronto on that rodeo road trip. That was a game that the Rockets just did a couple days ago. We'll see if the Spurs can have any difference, if a different turnout against a young team that is rebuilding in Toronto. And we also get the Thunder lose the Mavericks 146-111. Mavericks get a big win. Two of their new players come on. Doncic has a big game with 32 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists. PJ Washington plays 14 points, 5 rebounds. They get a big enough lead that a lot of the guys get to get on the court. Daniel Gafford also has a big game. The center they just acquired from the Wizards. He has 19 points and 9 rebounds, and they will be playing the Wizards tonight. See if Gafford wants to go out there and has a big game against his former team. That would be a fun one tonight for some NBA action. Some good games on there tonight. Good game with Kansas and Texas Tech. Some good basketball to watch now that football is over. Got to watch some basketball now. It's getting right into the All-Star weekend. Around the time you might start tuning in and checking it out if you want to do that. But we do need to get to the big fat poll of the day today. If I have my sounders up, we can do it. It's a Monday, and I got to remember how to do things.
Patrick's Big Fat Poll of the Day on the Horn.
Remember now to do things on a Monday. It's Patrick's Big Fat Poll of the Day. 512-447-3776 is the text line. 512-447-3776 is the text line. And, we're just going to try and predict the future here. We're a day after the last Super Bowl, so we're going to ask you the poll of the day. Who will win the next Super Bowl? Can the Chiefs come back and make a three-peat for the first time in NFL history? Can they get a three-peat win? Can San Francisco get back into the game and fix some of those mistakes, and San Francisco gets it? The Cowboys they're going all in. I don't think anybody's gonna say the Cowboys, but someone may say the Cowboys. Is there another team you think is gonna be maybe the Bengals if Joe Burrow can stay healthy? The Bills, are they finally gonna get in and get their level? The Ravens, can they figure it out? A lot of teams in there. If you had to pick, you're picking right now. You're gonna put. If I say here's $50 to go to Vegas right now and put down your futures bets on who will be the NFL Super Bowl winner next season, who are you putting money on? Who is your team that you are putting money on? 512-447-3776 is the text line. If we can get to that, would love to hear your takes on the Super Bowl, takes on college basketball, takes on Texas basketball. If you got anything else you want to throw in there, throw them in. 512-447-3776. We're going to take a quick break. We come back, we'll get to some of your text messages, and we'll play a little recap here from a replay of E and Rob B this morning on Hook 'em Up. When we come back here on the Sports Complex in the Horn 1019, AM 1260, the Horn app, and hornfm.com. Back in the Sports Complex here on the Horn. Just talked some basketball. If you got any thoughts on that, throw us on the text line. Big fat poll today, 512-447-3776. Who will be the Super Bowl winner next season? Who would you put your money on to win the Super Bowl next season? Any hot takes you got? Any theories you got about the game? Anything you liked or stuck out to you? Send those texts in as well. We'll get to all of that as we continue on here on the show. 512-447-3776 is that text line number. Reacting to the Super Bowl last night. I do like this, but talk about Texas basketball. Let's cut to the chase that everybody wants to talk about. We've cracked the code. All we need is Dylan Disu to be Steph Curry, and we'll be cutting down the nets. Yeah, no, if Dylan Disu shoots 70% from the three-point line for the rest of the season, I think Texas will have some help. Now, they'll start doubling him on the three-point line, which would be hilarious. But yes, I don't see that happening. Something tells me that might not be possible enough for us to continue to shoot that well from the three-point line. But yeah, it was amazing to see that shooting. The whole thing of him talking about when his foot was injured after the season, he couldn't do anything. LaMarcus Aldridge talked to him about how when he was hurt, he worked on his stroke and just worked on that shot. And just sat in a chair and just worked on the form of the shot over and over and over again. And man, has it paid dividends for Dylan Disu this year, and just makes him so much more viable. When if you're an NBA scout and you watch Dylan Disu's game this year versus the start of last year, and then in the even when you looked and he was playing really well in conference play or in the conference championship, in the conference tournament, and in the Big 12 tournament, and in March Madness until he got hurt, you were able to see him play at a really high level. But then that three-point shot, when he's stroking that, I mean, that's, you just say, well, if he's a stretch four that you can put him at now in an NBA stretch four, that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants someone who can get in the post, play some defense, rebound, get inside some, but also stretch the court. You have to guard him on the three-point line. That's what everybody's looking for. That also changes. He's got to get that stroke going for an NBA three-pointer. But, it's a huge addition to the game and a big piece of why Texas is able to compete this season because, maybe with not as much talent as they thought they may have had on this team, Dylan Disu needs to play at a very high level for Texas to compete in the remaining end of this schedule. I want to play you some stuff from Hook 'em Up with Ian or IB, talking a little bit about the conversation that is a bit early, but about Patrick Mahomes, and I know the word GOAT's being thrown around, and I'm not one of the people that use that word a ton just because the first word is greatest, which means there should be only one of from every sport, and you can kind of, but so I can't say that he's the GOAT because he's not. Because if Tom Brady's a bar, he hasn't passed Tom Brady, so he's not. But when we see what he's doing, he is definitely just showing you why he should really be always considered the biggest threat in the NFL, that you just have to try and take the Chiefs out any way you can to not allow them to make the playoffs, because once the playoffs come, he is almost unbeatable in Patrick Mahomes. Here's the morning show. It's a replay from Hook 'em Up with Ian Rob B, talking about Patrick Mahomes and what he did last night.
All right, let's talk about, obviously, the Super Bowl and Patrick Mahomes and his GOATness a little bit here. I've been on this kick for a little while, of this opinion for a while about Patrick Mahomes, even when it's early on in his NFL career, before he now started establishing himself as potentially being the future GOAT. He's got a superpower that people aren't aware of. I don't think they're aware of it. And I always say every quarterback, I want to know what their X-Man ability is, right? What is it that they do as well, if not better, than everybody else? In a certain situation, certain circumstance, this quarterback becomes the best version of themselves. And for Patrick Mahomes, strangely enough, it's when Patrick Mahomes is down double digits. Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback in the history of football when he's down double digits. I've never seen anything like it, actually. And you can even go look at specifically just in the playoffs. As a matter of fact, guys, when you're in the playoffs and you get down double digits, that's supposed to be the odds are pretty high There's a pretty good chance.
You're playing a playoff team.
I mean, in the playoffs,
who's qualified for the tournament.
You're down double digits in the playoffs. Yes, there's a really good chance that team is going to come out on top just because they're usually their circumstance. They're a quality team. You're a quality team, but they found a way to get up double digits. It could be 10 points, could be 14 points. And you got to battle your way back. And in the midst of battling your way back, still you got to find a way to overcome and become victorious. It's tough. It's tough to do that. When you go look at the all-time greats, Tom Brady is the all-time great, but go look at some of the other all-time great quarterbacks and go look at their record in the playoffs down double digits. I'll give you Drew Brees, 1-8. Guy's a Hall of Famer. Get him down double digits in the playoffs and see where he gets you. 1-8. Aaron Rodgers down double digits in the playoffs. Some people say might have one of the greatest resumes in the history of the NFL for a quarterback. He's 2-6 when he's down double digits in the playoffs. What about Joe Montana? Joe Montana, he was the GOAT before the GOAT. 2-6 down double digits in the playoffs. Brett Favre, gunslinger, he's down double digits. He's going to throw it all over the damn place. 1-7 when he's down double digits in the playoffs. Peyton Manning, 2-7. Guys, when you're down double digits in the playoffs, it's usually all she wrote. Tom Brady, the GOAT, 5-8, which is amazing. Losing record, but still amazing that he's got a 5-8 record when he's down double digits in the postseason. Patrick Mahomes, and well, let's go talk about the contemporaries too, because by the way, his peers aren't even close to that. You know it too. Josh Allen, he's 0-2. Joe Burrow, 1-2. Lamar Jackson is 1-4 in that situation. You're down double digits in the playoffs, still a good team. Of course. I mean, you're going to have a losing record. Patrick Mahomes is now 5-2. Guys, he's been down double digits in every Super Bowl he's played in.
Yep.
And he's won 3 of them. Let that sink in for a second. He is 5-2 in the postseason when down double digits. We've never seen anything like it. There's never been anything like it in NFL history. That's his X-Men ability. Everything else he's doing, honestly, we've seen it done at some level. We've never seen it all in one package like Patrick Mahomes is doing right now. We've seen it done here and there in the NFL. We've never seen an NFL quarterback in the postseason when they're down double digits perform like Patrick Mahomes. And I remember saying it to everybody at the stadium who was around me. I said, man, y'all know how good this dude is when he's down double digits? Because everybody was celebrating. Oh, man, 49ers up by 10. This is good. This is great. Looks like they got control of the game. I said, yeah, he has you right where he wants you. He does this all the time. As a matter of fact, he hasn't played in a damn Super Bowl where he doesn't have a double-digit deficit. He's able to fight his way back in 3 of those 4 Super Bowls, guys. Let that sink in for a second. Not even Tom Brady was that clutch. Not even Tom Brady had that kind of ability. And it's because, I think part of it is his upbringing as a quarterback. I think part of it is being the quarterback at Texas Tech those years. It sounds crazy, but even when you asked him they asked him about his time at Tech before and kind of, what it do for his mentality as a quarterback. And he said, I kind of joke around about it sometimes, but I was kind of blessed to be in the Big 12 where you had to go and score. And if you threw an interception, you got the ball back and you try to score again. I've kind of had that mindset where no matter what happens the last play, just focus on the next play. And he talked about how in the Big 12 at his time at Tech, give Cliff Kingsbury some credit, even though it's kind of a backhanded compliment to give him because I don't think he was intentionally trying to terraform the football character of Patrick Mahomes in this way. But guys, there were 8 times over a 2-season period where Mahomes would put up like 35 points and lose at Tech. He'd lose. He put up 35 points and lose. 4 of those losses, he saw his team score 50 points and lose at Tech with Cliff Kingsbury as a quarterback. Scoring 50 and lose. He has this mentality where for some people, a huge double-digit deficit, it's almost hard psychologically, spiritually to overcome. Not for him. Because of his time at Tech, I think he almost is acclimated and adapted his game to it where double-digit leads are nothing because he had to score so many points. And he would score 50, like I said, and lose, score 35 and lose. So a 10-point deficit for Patrick Mahomes seems like small. It seems minuscule, even though It's huge, but this guy was used to being down 3 touchdowns and having to come all the way back. He has a different mentality than most. That's just the root of it. But obviously his football character and football DNA, he's built different. He is him. But you've never seen a quarterback that performs as well as Patrick Mahomes does when they're down double digits in the playoffs. You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to be able to come back down double digits. My man Shano has been up on this dude. Double digits in the playoffs twice. That's why I started tracking it. Because I was like, this don't happen. I sent it to Shannon. I'm like, don't feel bad. This ain't, trust me, nobody else. If you were up like this on Tom Brady, if you were up like this, double digits on any quarterback, all-time great quarterback in history of the NFL, you would be a Super Bowl champion. It's just him.
You're dealing with a different animal.
He's different, man.
He is different.
Let that soak in.
I think that's very interesting about the formative Texas Tech years, because we know Tom Brady was kind of formed. His competitiveness came when he was at Michigan and had to compete for reps with Drew Henson. Remember that with Lloyd Carr would make them. Each would play a quarter in the first half, and whoever played better got to play the second half and start. When Drew Henson, the Yankees prospect, was the top quarterback, and it was about recruiting stars and whatnot. And Tom Brady learned to compete on every snap. Like every snap.
But the job was never his.
Yes, the job was never his.
Who kept that up? Belichick
did.
He kept drafting quarterbacks.
Like that as a trait. That's right. Kept pushing the pressure.
Yeah.
Well, to your point of Tech, I mean, he's just used to being behind, and you just keep playing.
Yeah.
You just keep playing.
He just his mind. I don't know, and that's part of him too as a player. But he never grasped that he could lose that game, because he always believes he could score. Now, that's part of, I think, like you said, his development at Tech is that, they were an offensively centric program.
So they're always behind.
Yeah, so they're all built. Yeah, because they didn't focus on defense or special teams. So they're always like, no, we just got to score as many points as we can. That's how we win the game. And it's not about ball control. It's not about complimentary football. And that has helped them. And I think Andy Reid, I want to fed into it a little bit too. And that's why they're such a great second half team. Part of it is his mentality. Guys, his 58 winning percentage in games where his team was losing by double digits, basically it's 20 percentage points better than any other quarterback in NFL history, guys. He has a 58.3 win percentage in games where his team was losing by double digits at some point.
Well, and to the flip side, the flip side is your guy Shanahan. I mean, because Shanahan has now been involved in the 2 overtime Super Bowls, because the Atlanta-New England game was overtime after they blew the 28-3 lead that ended up in OT, and Tom Brady hit James White for a touchdown. So now Shanahan's had 2 heartbreaks in Super Bowls. And you're right about Mahomes. I mean, that's a great piece of research. I haven't seen that anywhere else, but the greatest clutch quarterback went down in pro football history at 28 years old.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
5-2 in the playoffs when he's down by double digits.
That's insane. Because you say that, but you're playing playoff teams. So you're playing really good teams.
Great teams,
You're not playing scrubs, right? You're playing really good teams.
But they've been in the Super Bowl, E. 4 of them in the Super Bowl.
I know. That's crazy. And you think Andy Reid would always come out with a great game plan. They're not going to be behind. Oh, no. They're always behind.
Yeah.
They're always behind.
They're always behind.
Because you're playing another great team, whether it's Philadelphia or obviously San Francisco twice now. My friend Mike Craven from Dave Campbell's Texas Football, by the way, Rod, and co-host on the Eyes on Texas podcast that I do, he had a story that dropped yesterday where he went back and talked to his high school football, the head coach who beat Patrick Mahomes in high school, in his final high school football game, 65-60 at White House.
Wow.
And they also talked to Zach Kidley and Eric Morris to get and you can read more about
hold on, you said that was his last game? What was the score?
Yeah, he lost his last high school football game, 65-60.
That's my point. This guy, like I said, that's before Tech. There's something about the way that he has been groomed as a quarterback and the path that he's taken as a quarterback. Like I said, double-digit deficits mean nothing, and they usually mean everything.
Don't let him have the ball last. Do not let him have the ball last. And that's why I say, it's overly critical. I was overly critical of Josh Allen in the Buffalo game, overly critical of Kyle Shanahan here and Brock Purdy. Coming out of the 2-minute warning, you cannot give him the ball back. You have to win the game there. Whatever, all the work you put in, all the game planning,
agreed.
You have the ball with 2 minutes and the clock on your side in a tie game. This game has to end with you guys in the end zone or kicking a field goal as the time runs out. I mean, it's just really got to be your mindset. I know that's easier said than done, but you just can't let him
Nope.
Have the ball.
You did, and that's why I think it was a miscalculation at the end of the game. Sorry, the overtime period, that they probably should have let Mahomes have the ball first, and then at least they would have known exactly what they would have needed to win. Because the mentality for Shano was, hey, we just want to make sure, because he said we wanted the ball third potentially, right? If they both traded off touchdowns or whatever, then they get the ball third. That was his intention, but that was that mentality kept you in the game. You were thinking about staying in the game to play with Mahomes. You have to be thinking about vanquishing Mahomes. You have to be thinking about putting the stake in the heart. He didn't have that mentality.
And that was my criticism of Josh Allen, that they had a similar in Buffalo in that divisional playoff game. It was 27-24 Chiefs, but you had the ball and the clock. And inside the 2-minute warning, Josh Allen took 2 deep shots to the end zone instead of controlling the ball, getting first downs. Just keep the clock moving. Even if you have to kick the ball to go to overtime, one thing. But your goal should be end up in the end zone to win this game. And Patrick Mahomes never touches the ball. And that's really how every team playing him has to consider it.
Exactly right.
You just do. And to your point of the miscalculation of Shanahan, if you give them the ball and they score a touchdown, well, you're now 4-down territory the whole way down the field.
Amen, brother.
You're not worried about punting or field
That's
goals.
True.
And you give Kyle Shanahan 4 downs.
It's going to make you more aggressive.
Right.
It's going to turn you into the aggressor.
And to the Chiefs' point, I mean, Chris Jones admitted after the game that they've been working on this since training camp, that if they had won the toss, they were deferring, and they were going to get the ball and go for 2 when they scored a touchdown.
Because they were trying to win.
Yep. And that was their game. They said they had repped it for 2 weeks. They were planning to, if the Niners go down and score, great. But if we go down and score, we're going for 2.
Yep.
They aren't going to get the ball a third time.
And they were prepared for that.
Yeah.
And that's great coaching. Give Andy Reid a lot of credit. Like, he was prepared for that particular moment.
Yeah.
He had his team ready to go, and he already knew what strategy that he was going to use at the time. And I think Shano was a little surprised by the overtime. I think he was like, oh, okay, because he said I had to go to my analytics guys and ask them, hey, what's the best course of action here, all that kind of stuff. Well, Andy Reid was ready.
Yeah. Well, that's
training camp. You were preparing for that moment.
That's why they're champions again.
That's why they're champions.
Third time in 5 years.
Yeah.
Good stuff there from Hook 'em Out with Ian Robbie, weekday morning 6 to 11 right here on The Horn. We'll be talking more Super Bowl as we get into the 5 o'clock. Of course, on the text line, 512-447-3776. We'll keep talking Super Bowl with you guys and whatever you guys want to take. And I've seen a couple in there we'll get to here in the next segment. We'll start to get to your text messages. Big fat poll of the day today is who will be the Super Bowl winner next season? Making your pick the day after the last one. If you had to go way out on a limb, you think this will be a good offseason, everyone's is going to work out, this team will get a big win next season and win the Super Bowl. It could just be the Chiefs again. You can say that again. But that's your big fat poll of the day. Anything else you want to talk about? College basketball, NBA. You want to talk some Super Bowl? We'll get into that as well. Also want to tell you that we do know that now the Super Bowl's over and football season's over, that if you waited till the last minute to get ready for Valentine's Day and you're not sure what gift to give, and you have waited and not gotten anything, there's an ultimate last-minute Valentine's gift just for you. If you register now on the contest page at hornfm.com, you can win tickets to see Def Leppard, Journey, and Steve Miller Band at the Alamo Dome on August 16th, plus a $100 gift card to Vince Young Steakhouse. That is a good Valentine's Day gift. You take them out to dinner, the Vince Young Steakhouse, and then you tell them we're going to a big concert on August 16th. The contest closes tonight at midnight, though, so make sure to go register now on the hornfm.com contest page. That's how you can register to win those tickets and that $100 gift card to Vince Young Steakhouse. That's a cool giveaway we're doing right there. So make sure to check that out. And we're going to come back, take a quick break. We'll come right back and get to your text messages, 512-447-3776 here on the Sports Complex on the Horn 1019 AM 1260, the Horn app, and hornfm.com. Back on the Sports Complex on a Monday afternoon after the Super Bowl, continuing to talk about the Super Bowl. Text line's open, 512-447-3776. Whatever you guys want to talk about, hit us up on the text line, 512-447-3776. We're going to start getting to those text messages right now, and we'll continue that into the 5 o'clock, and then we'll also start talking some more Super Bowl. We get there, a little bit more, another replay from Hook 'em Up with Ian Rob B, talking more Super Bowl and more Super Bowl and more Super Bowl. We don't have football to talk about much more, and once we get past this, then, there's just not going to be, we don't have as much to talk about, but we'll keep it going. And Nate says, did the Cowboys win? Nope, they did not. They did not. And I think free tickets are about the worst gift to receive. I have to go to a Mavs Heat game on Thursday night. Last free tickets were Cowboys. I'm old enough to just watch on TV and not drive 8 hours a day and pay parking and drinks. Tickets are not the worst. Tickets in Dallas maybe were pretty bad. I don't need tickets 4 hours away, and especially if I'm the one driving. If like I've had it where friends and like we're going to a game and then they're driving and that's cool. Free tickets can be good there, but I'm with you. There are times like weekday tickets too. That's a Thursday night. You're like, well, I still got to work on Friday, and then so now I got to drive back and then go to bed and wake up. And I'm with you somewhat, Nate. But I see, you can't look a gift horse in the mouth. You have to embrace it and go enjoy the Mavs, the new look Mavs with PJ Washington, Gafford on the team now. Got contenders now, contenders. Big Papa says for our poll of the day, who will win the Super Bowl next year? Houston Texans coming in. Second year of C.J. Stroud. They're ready to go. DeMeco Ryans going to take care of business. Knock the Chiefs off, and there we go. The new dynasty starting. I like it. Texter says, what about the 49ers TD where it should have been a penalty, illegal man downfield on the wide receiver touchdown pass? I don't think it actually was. It's all about interpretation of the rules in that. But basically the rule is you can't be more than a yard past the line of scrimmage as an offensive lineman without blocking somebody. You have to be in the process of blocking somebody, and that's why you're pushing them downfield. And on that pass, it's number 64, and I can't remember the guy's name, but he comes around, and I've watched the play a few times. He comes around, and if you watch it, when he throws the ball, when the ball comes back throwing it to Christian McCaffrey, he's behind the line of scrimmage when the ball is thrown. And by the rule, it says when the pass happens. So then you have to say, is it in the act of the pass the entire time it's in the air, he has to stay behind the line? And then he's about 2 yards ahead of it, a yard or two ahead of it when the pass is caught. But most of the picture you're seeing is when the pass is caught, not when it's thrown. And so that's more of an interpretation of the rules where the ref doesn't have to throw the flag because it is stated when the pass is thrown or when the pass happens or something to that effect. So he was behind the line when the pass was thrown. He was still behind the line of scrimmage. And I think in the Super Bowl, when you say, well, he was behind the line, he wasn't trying to get he wasn't 5 yards downfield trying to get a block, which is normally when you're going to see that get called. They kind of give you the benefit of the doubt on most of them, unless you're downfield setting up a block for a receiver or somebody. He was just behind, and there was no one out there. And so he was so far ahead, it makes it look worse. But I've seen a lot of the pictures where people are posting it, and they're really posting it in a way of like, look, we got it. And you're like, but if it's when we're talking about when the pass was thrown, show me that picture too. And that one is not, you're not seeing as much because it hurts the case, not helps it. And look, there's going to be penalties missed on both sides. And I saw the one where they're saying the Chiefs were, but they were engaged in a block. So they were 3 or 4 yards past the line of scrimmage on the touchdown to Mecole Hardman to win the game. But the rule is you have to be engaged in a block. So you're still not supposed to be 3 or 4 yards down. And all the 49ers had to do in that was disengage. And then it would have been an illegal man downfield when he threw the ball. But as long as they stay engaged, then there's nothing they can really do about it. But I'm not a rules official, not a rules expert. But that's as far as I've heard the rules and read the rules. That's as far as I could tell on it, that they're both borderline enough that you don't want to swing a game in the Super Bowl calling something that doesn't seem to be, it wasn't as bad as it looks in some of the pictures. Texter says, Longhorns were on fire with the 3 ball. Yes, they were. And I'm a Cowboys fan, but I'm going to say the Packers are going to be next year. I'm not sure they're going to be. I like the bold pick. I like the bold pick. I think Jordan Love's doing well. They got to keep a lot together there, though. It'd be impressive. It'd be very impressive if they made that run and got to the Super Bowl next year. And with respect to Robbie is saying about Tech and losing when scoring 50, that's one of the challenges. They love it because they just can't recruit there because Lubbock is such a fun place. Look, they have a grid system. I know every time I went up there with bands and they have a grid system, they're very proud of it, that their streets are in a grid. And you can go on the corner of Buddy Holly Street to Buddy and Holly Avenue where it runs into Buddy Holly Overpass and have fun there. But they'll tell you. And then you go and then you go, where's the hotel? And they'll be like, we just take A Street down to 4th Street, and then you're on 4th and a half and A and a half streets. They had to build more streets. Yeah, I just always laughed. That was one of the things in Lubbock. Everyone was so proud always of the grid system of the roads that they were like, you can find your way anywhere. That's not the thing you want to be most proud of in your city. It's just texture. All right, please explain to these Spurs fans that Trae Young would be a terrible trade target. Also, the Mavs are a real contender now because they didn't trade for empty stats guy like Trae Young. All right. I'm with you. I am not a Trae Young fan because I don't like bulk shooters. I think there are things in a perfect world, then he would fit really well with the Spurs in a perfect world because he's another scorer. He's really good. He's a good passer. He's a good seer. But I don't think he plays defense well enough. I don't think he tries to rebound well enough. He does get rebounds. I think there's a lot of things he does that makes it hard to go with a team, and it's just hard to build a team around a guy like that. And then does Trae Young want to go where the team will not be built around him? The team is going to be built around Victor Wembanyama, and he's going to be now the second guy. Is he okay being the second guy? And every time he comes down the court, you have to be looking for Wemby, not for Trae Young. That's where I think the problems start to arise, that he's not going to be as happy to be there. I don't think it's the right trade to make. I don't think that it would necessarily – I don't think that's a championship team. I think that's a short-sighted, maybe we get there in a couple years. But it is – I'm not sold on it. I've heard the theory. But again, I'm with you. I'm not as sold on guys like that. But it's like Luka. We talk about the Mavs. Luka has a similar problem. And Luka's better than Trae Young. But Luka has that problem because he's so ball dominant, because he does so much. It's really hard to build a team around that where everyone is still engaged on both sides of the court because they know they're not going to get the ball a ton. They know that on the defensive end that Luka or Trae may be lacking a little bit and may let a guy just go for a steal instead of trying to stop it. And so you're trying to so you're having to come off of your guy, and then you look bad on film because you're coming to help over, and then your guy gets a wide open three. So there is issues with it. I'm not a huge fan of Trae Young's game, but I have respect for his game. I do have respect. As much as I really, really hated it a few years ago, the more I've watched of him over the years, it's not as bad as it seems. But he does have bad games, and I don't know if he'd be okay with being the number 2 guy. And I don't know how you take a guy who's a bulk shooter and then say, we'll cut those shots in half because they have to go to the, other players. I don't know if you cut his shots in half and make him get good shots. And it's like that thing with Max Abmas where it's, when he takes shots that are 7 or 8 feet behind the line and they go, he has that range. And you go, no, he doesn't. Like, I know he hits 1 out of 20, but that's not that range. If you can't shoot 30%, 40%, you don't have that range. That's just the reality of, that's a bad shot unless you can hit it 30, 40% of the time. And Trae Young takes too many shots that are way low percentage shots just because he hits 1 out of 20. And that's annoying if you're a fan of a team because it's not necessarily the best way to win basketball games. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll come back, get more of the text line. Big fat poll today. Who's going to win the Super Bowl next year? Also, if you want to send in favorite commercials, I watched some of them. Other times I was, getting another drink or whatever else I was doing last night, having a conversation with somebody. So I didn't watch them all. Let me know what commercials that are the best and if I have to go back and watch some, or I'm sure I'll see them during all the other sporting events. And anything else you want to talk Super Bowl or basketball, send those texts in. 512-447-3776 is the text line. We'll be right back with more on the Sports Complex here on the Horn 1019 AM 1260, the Horn app, and hornfm.com. Hour two here on the Sports Complex on a Monday afternoon, right after the Super Bowl. Keep those texts coming in, 512-447-3776. What were your thoughts of the game? Who, big fat poll today, who will be the Super Bowl champion next season? Who will win it all next season? That's big fat poll today. What's your favorite commercial from yesterday as well? Send that one in. We would love to hear from you on that. Send those texts in, 512-447-3776. We'll hit the text line again real quick. The texter says, when is Romo going to go away? You know what? Look, there's a lot of announcers I'm not a huge fan of. I tend to turn them off and listen to music instead normally when that happens. And I know that's not easy for everybody else to do. Some people enjoy the commentary, want to hear what's going on. I'm usually pretty aware of what most of the stuff that's happening is just because I watched a lot of games in my day. But I get why some, people like it more to have the sound on. But yeah, sometimes if I get really annoyed with announcers, I'll just turn it off but I think Tony Romo is going to be around for a little while. He'll be around for a little while because some people really like him, but that's everything now. There's very few just walk the line. Like Greg Olsen was that, and they're going to replace him with Tom Brady, and a lot of people are going to hate Tom Brady. Yeah, and so that's like, you can't ever have anybody's middle line because you need to have the people that are at least getting people to talk. It's not the best as a viewer who wants something normal, but that's what you deal with in 2024. Text says, I don't see who beats the Chiefs, especially if they get Xavier or a D. Yeah, there's some good wide receivers that if the Chiefs pick up another wide receiver with Rashee Rice with another year, and Steve Spagnuolo in that defense, could be a very good Chiefs team for a while to come. It's going to be hard to knock them off. Random texter 69 says, weird post-game curious thought. Was there a backstory about why Travis Kelce played the game wearing his older brother's beard and eventually ended up kissing America's sweetheart with that same sweaty beard on national television? Maybe just if you're on a streak, don't wash or shave anything superstition. Yeah, my guess would be he just didn't want to shave before the game. That's my guess. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you why he grew his beard out for the game. And my man Chan says, commercials, T-Mobile with Jason Momoa, Dunkin' Donuts with Matt Damon, and Tom Brady and crew were funny. All right. I don't know if I saw any of those. I don't remember any of those. And my halftime show thoughts, I still don't know a lot of Usher songs. It was all right. Jermaine Dupri looked weird. I'm not a fan of the socks. I didn't know a lot. But yeah, it was all right. It wasn't for me, so I'm not mad at it. It is what it was. I don't tend to get mad at things that I wasn't expecting to care about anyway, and it didn't grab me. It was okay. It was fine. It's, just not my thing. A couple notes before we talk some more Super Bowl. Text line still open, 512-447-3776. The Cowboys have finally agreed to terms with Mike Zimmer to be their new defensive coordinator. As we were preparing the show sheet today, as I was getting that stuff ready earlier, they had not. They were going to bring Rex Ryan back. It was a whole thing that Jerry Jones is just trying to stay in the spotlight over Super Bowl weekend. He's never going to make it there again, but he wants to be in the spotlight, so he makes the defensive coordinator search. The news on Friday, news on Saturday, and news on Monday to keep his name and the Cowboys' name in everybody's mind. He was able to do that and say, well, we'll talk to Rex Ryan again if you guys are getting bored. And then on Monday, they hire Mike Zimmer, which is the right hire, I think. I think that's the best hire they could have made, given everything. And I'm curious to see how he builds out, replaces a couple guys who left on his staff and what he tries to do with this defense. If he tries to keep some of the same guys on there, if he changes it up a little bit more, tries to get a little more beef in there maybe on the defensive line. Instead of more speed, maybe a little bit more beef. If he tries to get a few more linebackers in there, Dan Quinn is much more positionless. Dan Quinn is much more, safety, the linebacker positions. We'll see what Mike Zimmer wants to do. He is coming from doing some college work as well, so we'll see if he's got some scouting done coming up in the draft. It'll be interesting to see how much of the draft is used on defense or free agency or trades or anything else. It seems like it will be more draft. That seems more the Cowboys, but Jerry said he's going all in, so we don't know. And also the Steelers are parting ways with Mitchell Trubisky. This is starting the path of reorganizing that quarterback room with Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph. They needed space to probably try and either draft somebody late or sign somebody else. Mitchell Trubisky, though, moving on to the Steelers as they start to reorganize that quarterback room. We've talked about the Super Bowl all day, but a couple points that we saw in that Super Bowl. I will say it was pretty close on the prediction. Did not have overtime. Did not have overtime in there. My prediction on Friday was 27-23 Chiefs, so we were pretty close on the number. The field goals for the 49ers, what we figured was they were going to get kind of stuck at a couple times when the field started to shrink. The running game started to go away. It became a little bit easier to defend when you don't have the big open spaces for Brock Purdy to find guys in there. CMC had a game. I don't think he ran the ball well enough, and they got away from running it in the second half. He still caught the ball. He had 22 carries for 80 yards, and then he had 8 more receptions for 80 yards. So he has 160 total purpose yards. Pretty good. I think that would be around the number he needed. But I think he needed about 100 rushing yards in that game to really kind of push the script and in reality keep Patrick Mahomes off the field. You just have to keep him off the field more and more. That you can do that with running the ball is better. But also, when you look at the weapons, San Francisco the Chiefs did a good enough job of taking the Chiefs, the 49ers. I can't talk. The Chiefs taking the 49ers weapons off of the field and not being a part of it. Deebo Samuel only has 33 yards on 3 receptions. George Kittle has 2 receptions for 4 yards. Like, both those guys become non-factors in the game, while Travis Kelce, they take him and really build on him in the first half and try and bully him and double and triple team him. And what they do is Patrick Mahomes just starts peppering the ball across the field. 9 different players were targeted in the game by Patrick Mahomes. And when you have that many guys that you're spreading the ball around to, they just weren't able to keep honing in on Travis Kelce and trying to stop him. You could tell that was their early game plan. He ends up with 93 yards on 9 receptions. And it looked like he was not going to get a ton of receptions in that first half. But I think they realized that Patrick Mahomes is going to pick him apart and just finding guys wide open. So they had to make that difference. And I'll give credit to Spagnuolo. And I know Pacheco had the fumble as well, but I think the Chiefs did have a point of Christian McCaffrey when he goes in, try and strip that ball, and they worked on stripping the ball for 2 weeks because they understood that the game plan is they're going to try and run on us. Christian McCaffrey's going to try and run on us. So when he gets there, what did Stark say? Party at the football. You need everyone to get over to the football and then try and strip that football out. And, they were able to get a big fumble from Christian McCaffrey early there when they were in scoring range. And it just ends up being, it comes down to it. I know that there's been a lot of discussion about Kyle Shanahan deciding to get the ball first in overtime, and that, we'll play a clip where they talked about the football, the Juszczyk not even knowing the rules, and some of the players for the 49ers not knowing the new overtime rules, and that technically you'd rather know what you need to get to go down the field. I don't think it was the worst decision. I think the problem is you gave Patrick Mahomes the ball back with plenty of time to go beat you. I think you really, once you kicked the field goal, you were kind of screwed. You needed to score a touchdown and make them. And I know they said, we've been practicing this and we were going to go for 2 and we'd be ready to go. We've been practicing this over and over again. We knew what we were going to be doing. But then you have to make a 2-point conversion, and the Super Bowl comes down to 1 play, and you feel better about that than allowing them to march down the field on you and let Patrick Mahomes do what he does best and just take over the game, which is what Patrick Mahomes did in the game. And you just saw it again. You just saw a game where the Chiefs, the 49ers couldn't keep the Chiefs off the field, and that was really what they had to do. That's what they had to do, and they couldn't get it done. Texters say, I've already made plans to listen to the radio broadcast and watch the Nickelodeon version of the Super Bowl once Tom Brady is announcing. Compared to listening to him, SpongeBob will be fantastic. We did have it on. There was some kids that were at the house. I put on the Nickelodeon version for the kids where we were hanging out. And then I saw they had like the Taylor Swift in the corner cam for those ones. They were really showing it. But it was I did not get to listen to too much of that. But I assume that SpongeBob would be better than Tom Brady. That's just me. His voice would be better at least. Another texter, RW says, a Longhorn Shanahan getting away from the running game? No way. No, and look, and he was only averaging 3.6 yards per carry, so I can understand where you're saying we're kind of beating our heads in. But again, it's more about keeping the ball and ball control and not allowing Patrick Mahomes time to beat you. Because as soon as you allow them time and making sure you score last in the half and making sure everything is done, and I know you know if you get one stop on there and it complicates things, but I think that you really need to stick to that run. I thought he would have stuck to it more in the second half. He just got away from it, and once you get away from it, and things were working well enough when he got away from it. But you know if you're not going to go to the running game, and then Debo and George Kittle are both going to have underperformances and are going to be guarded too well by this really good Chiefs defense, you have to run the ball. You have to find that way. And I know you're finding Christian McCaffrey pretty easily in the passing game, and that's great. But you're going to have to be able to find him. You had to get him in the running game, I think, more to get it to win. But it is what it is. Taylor, you consistent hate of the Cowboys, annoying like many other Cowboys fans. I just switched over to the blah, blah, blah. Love Ian Rabi, but your Cowboys vitriol is to move on from. I don't hate the Cowboys. I really don't. I don't hate the Cowboys. I root for them to win. I will say Jerry Jones has his issues. I'll be honest with you about Jerry Jones, that he just wants to be on the thing. I think Mike Zimmer was a good hire, is what I just said. So I don't know where you're getting that I hate the Cowboys. I make jokes at their expense, but I made jokes at the Texans' expense when they were really bad too. They're Cowboys. They're easy to poke fun at because Jerry wants to be in the spotlight all the time. But I root for them. I'm rooting for the Cowboys, so I don't hate them. Unfortunately, I apologize that you feel that way, but no, I do not hate the Cowboys, not one bit. Let's see. Mike Zimmer is a lay down hire, but at least the Cowboys are completely bought in to middling culture. See, I read text off where people say things like this, but that's not. I think Mike Zimmer was a fine hire. I really do. When you have the options that are out there for you to go out and hire somebody, Mike Zimmer has a relationship with Jerry Jones and the Jones family. Mike Zimmer is a coach who has a history of being a really good defensive coordinator. And it's, can he do it in 2024? That's the question. Can he do it with the staff that the people that they have there? That's the question. But I think he was a really good hire. And I think it was a good move for the Cowboys to make the smart hire there, as opposed to bringing in Rex Ryan or, I know people wanted Mike Vrabel, but I don't think you were getting a Mike Vrabel necessarily to come in as a DC. I don't know if that was what he wanted to come in and do. And if you did, it's 1 year, and then if you win it all, he's going to go somewhere else as a head coach again, and you'd be back in that same position. I think Mike Zimmer was a good hire. I don't know if it's a lay down hire, but and they're bought in. He's saying they're bought in. They're going all in. I just won't believe it till I see it, because Jerry Jones is not a guy who makes trades a lot. He's not a guy who goes out and manipulates the salary cap. I think what he meant by saying I'm going all in is I'm going to re-sign Dak Prescott to an extension. And when I say that you're going to have to deal with that as Cowboys fans, that I'm going to re-sign Dak Prescott. And then I'll say it's because we need the money to go get other people, which is technically true, but I think that's what he meant more than that. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll get to another clip from Hook 'em Up with Ian Rob B, and we will keep the party going here. Text line still open, 512-447-3776. Keep it rolling here. Talking more Super Bowl when we come back here on the Sports Complex in the Horn 1019, AM 1260, the Horn app, and hornfm.com. Back in the Sports Complex here on the Horn. Text line's open, 512-447-3776. Still talking Super Bowl. Going to give you another replay here from E and Rob B this morning, talking about the Super Bowl as well, some different looks at it. Keeping the show rolling here. It's a hook 'em up replay here on the Sports Complex.
Talked about the controversy of the overtime rules, and for folks who don't know, overtime now, ever since the divisional playoff game, Bills-Chiefs 2022, the NFL has changed the overtime rules in the postseason, where both teams get the ball regardless. So if the Niners had scored a touchdown on their opening drive last night after taking the ball, the Chiefs would have still gotten the ball.
A chance to match it.
A chance to match. That's only in the postseason. Then if they match, then it goes sudden death, right? That's the rule. Well, can we hear this? I just sent this to you, Brock, from Kyle Juszczyk. He is the fullback of the San Francisco 49ers, kind of confirming that there were players on the Niners who weren't fully aware that this is the rule.
You know what? I didn't even realize that the playoff rules were different in overtime, so I assumed you just want the ball because you score a touchdown and win, but I guess that's not the case. So I don't totally know the strategy there. No, we haven't talked about it, no.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably, or in terms of football IQ, he might be their smartest football player. I'm not making that up.
He
did go to Harvard.
In terms of where they move him around, exactly. But in terms of football IQ, they move him around in formation more than they do any other player. So he has to know more positions than any other player on the offense. He is a cerebral football player. He didn't know.
Yeah.
And that means the coaches, they did not make it a point of emphasis. You get what you emphasize? They did not make it a point of emphasis.
Oh, I guess we have breaking news from Brock at the Horn headquarters. What do we got, Brock?
Yes, we do. So we were talking about Chip Kelly leaving UCLA a little bit ago. They have just hired a new head coach, Deshaun Foster.
Oh, the running back?
Yeah, he's in the UCLA Hall of Fame as a player. He's been there as an assistant coach. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize he had been there. Okay. Wow.
He's been there since 2017 and played 7 seasons in the NFL.
Interesting. I remember as a player. I mean, he's a good player. It's a running back, but I didn't know he was coaching. Okay. Damn, that shows you a little desperation. That shows you that's a little desperation, though. Yeah, it's always good to go to an insider, but they couldn't make a splash, not after the way Chip Kelly left, because he left them in a situation where it was such an unprecedented move to demote himself that people think that either there's money issues there, which there could be. There are AD issues there. The administration is now on the same page. Whatever. They can't get a big-time hire. They can't even get probably a legitimate hire. So they had to go in-house, and they had to go with someone in-house that honestly, I didn't even know he was coaching. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, props to Brock for finding that piece of news and Pete Thamel for reporting it. But you knew it would come quick, or at least you felt like it would come quick because, again, it wasn't – I mean, Chip Kelly was begging to get out. He had interviewed with several NFL teams about being an offensive coordinator. And then, the last straw was – because remember, the way it all played out, Ohio State fans have to be doing cartwheels because you had Bill O'Brien as your offensive coordinator, which I think was a big mistake.
That was a horrible move.
He all of a sudden gets hired by Boston College because Jeff Hafley left to go to the NFL and coach for the Packers. And so you hire Chip Kelly as your second choice to be the offensive coordinator. Whatever we think of Chip Kelly, he's a pretty good offensive mind. And that'll help Ryan Day. And, of course, Ryan Day, as we said, played for him back in college in New Hampshire, played quarterback for Chip Kelly. So there's certainly familiarity there. And, Buckeyes are loading up, ready to go. But now UCLA has promoted from within, which is not a huge surprise in that, if you're going to be able to keep that roster, because they can all jump in the portal now if they're able to go. Does this maintain some stability like we saw with Michigan and Sharon Moore when Jim Harbaugh left for the NFL? So we're keeping an eye on that. But, yeah, talking Super Bowl, Chiefs down double digits again. They were down 10 points in the first half. It was 10-0 Niners. Chiefs come all the way back, win this game 25-22. They were as clutch as can be in the second half. How about one catch in the first half for Travis Kelce, 9 in the second half, or 8 in the second half, 99 yards, huge plays over and over again. And, just the Niners' red zone woes and their special teams, Rod, really jumped up and got them.
Yeah, I mean, either you can point to a lot of different factors. I agree with you about the red zone too, but they never were able to put Patrick Mahomes away. They were never able to put him away. They never drove a stake through the heart of Patrick Mahomes. and they let him linger around. And every time they kept giving him more and more life. Even after they got the 10-point lead in the first half, they just kept giving him life. And that's a dangerous way to live against Patrick Mahomes. Because you know he's inevitable. It's happening. And he's probably gonna play his best football in the clutch. What you want to do is avoid even having to give him the football in the clutch, or don't even let him see the field in the clutch. They gave him way too many opportunities.
Yeah. Well, and that's why, it was anticlimactic in the Buffalo game when Tyler Bass missed the field goal.
Mm-hmm.
But to settle for a field goal there with 1:54 to go,
you already knew.
You're losing.
You felt like it. You're
losing.
You're done. Yeah, exactly.
You're done, son.
We've seen him now in these situations multiple times now in his early career that we know that if you allow him a game-winning drive opportunity, fourth quarter comeback opportunity, there's a good chance he's going to cash in on it. What you have to do is deny the opportunity.
Yeah.
and that they did not deny the opportunity to him.
It's like
is.
It's like at some level Tiger Woods when he was in
Yeah.
his prime.
MJ.
Remember? When you were playing golf against Tiger Woods and you were a great golfer, you couldn't play safe. You had to go for it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you had to go for it. I mean, you can't.
He made you aggressive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which vanquished a lot of people because they'd get outside of their normal game, but they knew they had to. And it's the only way. And I think that's what I'm saying with even Kyle Shanahan.
Mm-hmm.
When it was 3rd and 4 coming out of the 2-minute warning from the 20-yard line, I don't care if that might be 2-down territory, Kyle. I mean, it really might be. Even in a tie game.
Sounds crazy.
Clock's your friend.
Yeah.
Clock's your friend here. You own this game. You have the ball. Clock's under 2 minutes. You just can't not convert here and then give him the ball back. That just can't happen. Now that's got to be your mind, in my mind. Like, no way.
Yeah.
If we got to go 2 downs and I get criticized because we went for it, I think the court of public opinion would be on his side. It's no, we get that.
Yeah.
You were trying to get the first down, damn it.
I think people will do it next time, but I already knew. I agree with you 100%. I think at that point it's worth rolling the dice. Don't treat him like a normal opponent. Your binder, your green binder, all that stuff, it doesn't apply. None of it applies. Against Patrick Mahomes, you really have to be so maybe you're right about the Tiger Woods comparison more so than anything, but I think it forces you to have to be the aggressor because you must vanquish him. And if you just try to play to win or play to stay in the game, it's going to blow up in your face.
Yeah.
And it did once again. It blew up in his face. And I felt bad for Shano, but that's exactly how he approached it. He approached it too conservatively. Yeah.
And I'm surprised. I mean, the play ended up on 3rd and 4 going to Greg Jennings. I'm like, was that your best play? That's your best 3rd and 4 play.
I don't think anybody else was open because of Spags is.
I know.
Spags had a great job with his
I'm
game
doing
plan.
something. I'm trying to get the ball in McCaffrey's hands somehow. I mean,
I said it too. I don't think Shano gave him enough for creative advantage. Shano was not in his bag. I'll tell you, as a guy who's watched that offense, knows that offense really well. I'm talking about creatively from an innovative standpoint. I thought he was letting him hang a lot more in the first half. That's what the double pass and everything. And I told him, man, you got to unload, man. Do not after this game, if you feel at any point I should have called this play or I should have called that play, then you failed yourself.
Yeah,
you should have emptied the clip, and he didn't.
Kyle Shanahan said that, and that who said that we just heard.
Yeah,
and that play was the play because you can't overestimate or overstate if you get the first down there. And you're inside 2 minutes, and now you have a fresh set of downs. You're in control of this game. And again, it wouldn't be crazy to be 2-down territory to keep the ball and keep the clock running. It was 16 all. That was the critical play of the game. And obviously, when you get to overtime, Shanahan makes the decision to take the ball, not defer, which we know how that outcome was. And here we are talking about.
We need to make sure that Shano knew the rules, because now I believe the narrative is the players didn't know.
Yeah,
the players have already admitted. Multiple players have admitted they did not know the overtime rule changed in the postseason compared to the regular season. So they admitted that. You just played the use check sound. I wonder if he knew. We're assuming he knew, but some of the reports are maybe that he didn't know either. And if he didn't know, why wouldn't he inform the team?
Yeah.
If you know, why don't you inform the that's coaching.
Yeah.
How would you know it did not inform your team of the new overtime rules?
Well, and the Chiefs are talking about, we've been talking about since training camp.
This has been the plan.
Yeah. Well, and Andy Reid was planning for it. If we end up when we end up in overtime,
when
in
it
the
happens,
Super Bowl, we're doing this. This will be our game plan. And so, yes.
And there's nothing to Andy Reid, man, because I remember I was sitting in the stands. So right before the game winning touchdown, I remember they had a chance. It's like 30 seconds left in the game. They have a chance for Sorry. But everybody's wondering why he didn't call a timeout, why he's not stopping play. He saw the play he wanted. He saw it. That's why I got to go back and rewatch the game, because I was wondering too, why didn't they go for a stoppage there to kind of gather themselves, figure out a play? He had his money play already ready. He had corn dog ready to go. He said it was the same play they called on a game-winning touchdown versus Philadelphia, and he said, and he didn't stop the clock. So I got to go back and watch the previous play prior to that. Was that the Travis Kelce screen before the game-winning touchdown?
Yep.
I got to go back and look at I want to look at the personnel and the formation, because on that play he saw what he needed to see to know that they were going to bump that motion, and that if he brought the motion man back to the vacated, voided spot, that there would not be a fail-safe in the coverage. He knew.
Yeah,
because that's why he didn't stop. That's why there was no stoppage. Because everybody in the wondering, is he going to stop the clock? Stop the clock here? Stop the clock? Nope.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going.
That's a great point, and great eyes from being at the game, because with 50 seconds left, it was a pass to Travis Kelce for 7 yards.
Right, that's the screen, right?
Yeah, and then with 6 seconds on the clock, it was Mahomes to Hardman for 3 yards out.
Because I'm panicking. I'm like, hold up, he's just letting the clock. I'm like, nobody's stopping the clock, and I started freaking out. And I was like, I guess this is good for the 49ers. But I was like, no, this is not good for the 49ers. This is not good. He has a plan. He knows what he's doing. This is not panic. He wasn't freaking out. They calmly walked to the line. They knew exactly what they were looking for. And boom, he saw it. He saw it 3 plays ahead, like 2-3 plays ahead. Shano wasn't coaching like that. Shano was not he did not have that kind of forethought. There was no way. Andy Reid was playing chess. Andy Reid was 3-4 steps ahead. On that drive, guys, game-winning drive scenario, Shano was not like that. The Shano's money, because I was looking for the money play. What's your money play?
Yeah.
Your money plays, guys, when the game is on the line, I got to have. Remember the 4th down? The triple option play they ran?
Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant.
That's awesome.
That was awesome. It was like, damn, Andy Reid's so good. Like, because in the situation, it's 4th down, everybody's thinking, well, I want Mahomes to have the ball as long as possible, period. I just want him so he can make the right decision with the football. And even gave him a Kelce option. So even gave him the go-to option with Kelce. And then when Kelce wasn't there, Mahomes just took it. It was a new school triple option. Brilliant play call. And then for the game winner, he went back to an oldie buddy goodie. Hey, man, Philadelphia couldn't cover it. That was a good defense. San Fran can't cover it either. This guy is so meticulous. He is so prepared for every possible moment. Shano was not that. Shano got out-coached, guys.
Yeah, I agree.
I love him, but he got out-coached.
Well, and we said going in, why are they favored? You got the coach and quarterback advantage on a neutral field. It's got to be the Chiefs, and a lot of Joe Public did well on the Chiefs last night with that victory. And I'll say this to the money plays and the drive that sealed their fate. And we know overtime is what everybody will talk about. I'm talking about the end of regulation when it was 16-all. Ball belonged to the Niners.
Yeah.
3:27 to go. McCaffrey left tackle 5 yards. So now it's 2nd and 5.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
2:45 short pass to Kittle for no gain. Now it's third. Now it's the 2-minute warning, and this is the money play time.
It was the money play time. I was waiting. I remember. I wish I could sit by text exchange with my wife, because I was like, Shano's got. I want to say, I literally said at that moment, Shano needs to dial it up. He needs the money play.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Shano needs to dial one up here. That's what I said. He said, "It's right at that moment."
I was sitting right here in this room watching the game with about 10 people and said the same thing. This is the play of the game.
Yeah.
If the Niners hit this play, they're going to win the
Where's
game.
your money play? Where's your play? You know you got it.
Yep.
This is your one. And he didn't have one, I don't think.
Nope.
He didn't have one.
And obviously, correct me, the Chiefs never led the game until that final play with 6 seconds to go in overtime.
Wow.
They never led the game. They never had a lead until that play, the final play of the game, essentially. 6 seconds to go on the clock. And as you said rightfully, the clock was running down. This was like... But totally calm.
They were so calm.
So calm.
I was panicking. I was like, what are they doing? Why don't they stop the clock? Why they? And then they calm. And I remember because Patrick Mahomes stayed out there. And they were just staring at the sideline. I was like, the game is winding down. And he just calmly went out there. And they knew exactly the play they were going. That's why I got to see the play before and how they lined up. Because I want to say they might have lined up in a very similar way. And whatever it was, Andy Reid saw all he needed to see. He knew in that moment that play was going to work. And that's what a money play is. A money play is, I know it's going to work. Yeah. It's out of all the plays in this playbook, this one has the highest success rate against this team in this situation. And I got to tell you, I don't think Shano had money plays. Think about the Kittle play, the 4th down. You got to have it. It was a great throw, it's great catch, great execution. That was the only memorable play, impactful play by Kittle. That wasn't really a money play. He just got Kittle matched up on linebacker and they went a quick out. That triple option play that Andy Reid did for Patrick Mahomes, I don't even think I've seen it all season.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know how you defend
that's what
it.
you want, right?
That's what a money play is.
That is.
There's no defense for it.
That was my disappointment. I think yours too. That play to Greg Jennings to Juwan Jennings was not a great.
No.
That was not a money play. It's like,
right?
That's why. Then I was like, well, is he going for it again? Is he going to go for it on fourth down? Because now he's got the money play.
It was such a lackluster play. You're like, oh, he must have been 4 down territory.
Yeah, it was just a quick drop back, and he's trying to get the 4 yards, but that's a huge 4 yards.
I feel like he was out. I feel like he was out of creativity. I don't know. It felt like that to me. I'm just saying, as the guy was watching, I was like, I almost felt like he was out of his bag of tricks. He wasn't in the bag. The bag wasn't deep enough.
Not deep enough. Somebody reminded me the Chiefs did have the lead at 13-10. That's correct. After the muff punt and then the touchdown to Marquez Valdez-Scantling, they did have this 13-10 lead because they were down 10-6 when the huge play in the game. It was just bad luck for the 49ers. Good stuff from Rod. Chiefs and Andy Reid on point. Niners not as much. I would also say this. Several people did say this, and this is for Kyle Shanahan. The question will come, did he know the rule? I'm going to assume he did. And if he didn't, he's going to say he did.
Yeah, now you do. Yeah, now don't admit you didn't.
Yeah. But I would also say that the argument of the Chiefs had just gone down the field and kicked a field goal to tie the game. There is an argument that the defense, I don't want to put my defense right back out on the field. They just were on the field.
Fair.
I want to protect my defense a little bit, let them get some rest against Patrick Mahomes. Same time, these are the kind of things you can go back and forth on. In the end of the day, Niners needed to win that game in regulation with the ball and 2 minutes to play.
The more and more
that's the time to win the game. That's what I said about Josh Allen in the Bills game. Y'all do not give this game back. You own this game. This is everything you've prepared for. This entire offseason is to this point. Your ball, inside 2 minutes, you control this game. That guy doesn't. He's standing over there on the sideline.
Leave him over there.
Yes.
Do not want him on the
Everything
field.
has to be about these plays, these moments, because you can win this game and never give him the ball back. That, to me, should have been the Niners' mindset. It didn't feel like it was. They settled for the field goal with 1:57 on the clock, way too much time. In the end, we know what happened. Patrick Mahomes has another championship and another MVP.
And then I will admit, I thought it was brilliant, and I know people get into whether Kelsey was in the right or not, going up to Andy Reid. Remember, I didn't get the chance to see it because I didn't rewatch the game, but I saw it online of him challenging Andy Reid, I guess. He had one catch, guys, at halftime. And I thought Steve Wilkes did a great job game planning initially. His initial game plan against Patrick Mahomes and Chiefs,
awesome. It
was a great game plan, especially to try to sever the connection between he and Kelsey. But, man, the way that Andy Reid started scheming open Kelsey, even late in the game, you start wondering to yourself, how in the hell is Kelsey open late in the game?
Yeah, it was because that was my thought early. The fact that neither team was able to score on their scripted plays, right? Their scripts.
Boy, now we're moving for the fumble.
Yeah, they had the fumble.
Moving
McCaffrey. I was wondering early with because they use like new balls like on almost every drive in the Super Bowl. Like
they just sign them and
because they make
sell
money.
them and stuff.
It looked like the ball's a little bit slick because everybody was having a hard time with it.
Not bad.
I think everybody's having a hard time with it. McCaffrey fumbled it. Pacheco fumbled it. There was the did you see the play where who was it?
The receiver
lateraled the ball ahead.
What the hell that was? That was
looked like a forward pass that they thought.
Did he do it on purpose or what was
it? Felt like it.
But
it turned out
dangerous.
They just called that a fumble. Looked like he tossed it forward.
And then remember Purdy had the one that it slipped out of his hand, ended up going down. But he called it incomplete. I think it was it ended up being a holding call actually on Kansas City.
Yeah,
remember that's a big
right.
play.
Yeah,
but the ball slipped out of his hand. Though, to your point,
I heard it was Troy Aikman who said, anybody that tries to tell you this game's just like any other game, it's not. I mean, because the cliche will be just treat it like any other game. It's not.
You can't do that.
Yeah, you don't go in a week early for any other game.
No.
Everything's different.
The breaks
are
longer.
Breaks are longer.
The breaks are so long. Dude, the breaks are so long.
Commercial breaks?
Oh!
From the stands?
It's brutal.
You can tell?
It's brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It takes forever. But they got a DJ in the damn stadium for the commercial breaks because the breaks are so long.
I was going to ask you about
that. He was okay,
that.
I guess. But they had a DJ do sets for the commercial breaks because the commercial breaks go so long. I mean, you guys are watching at home. Hell, imagine so honestly, defenses shouldn't be tired.
Yeah, you're right about
You
that.
should be. You're so well rested, man. You have so much time in between breaks.
Yep, that's a good point. Well, and it was Aikman saying, "Look, and he was the one that said even the balls are different, y'all. I mean, the balls are all brand new that you're using when you're playing.
That's a good point.
They're not scuffed up. They're Super Bowl balls. They're kind of shiny, and they use six new balls per quarter, so that they can end up with all the balls to auction off and sell and those kind of things for collector's items. I mean, it's a game used Super Bowl football.
Oh yeah.
More of those you can create, the more you can sell, and it's a revenue. But it did look like they were struggling a little bit with the ball early. But that could be.
But both these teams have played in Super Bowls, so that shouldn't have been an issue.
You're right.
Yeah.
Kansas City handled it better.
Yeah.
Good stuff from E and Rob B. Weekday mornings here on the Horn, 6 to 11 a.m. every weekday morning. I also remind you to check out hornfm.com on the contest page because they have the ultimate last-minute Valentine's gift giveaway that's happening right now. You can register now on the contest page at hornfm.com to win tickets to see Def Leppard, Journey, and the Steve Miller Band at the Alamo Dome. That's happening August 16th. And we're also throwing in a $100 gift card to the Vince Young Steakhouse. It's closing tonight at midnight, that contest. So make sure to go check that out and take care of your Valentine's Day. If you were a little bit more worried about, the Super Bowl or whatever else is on your mind and you forgot to Valentine's Day, maybe we can hook you up here at the Horn and the hornfm.com contest page. Great concert, Def Leppard, Journey, and Steve Miller. The Alamo Dome on August 16th and that $100 gift card to Vince Young Steakhouse. All right. We're going to wrap up the show, take our last break. Wrap it up, hit the text line, get out of here on a Monday afternoon on the Sports Complex on the Horn 1019, AM 1260, the Horn app, and hornfm.com. All right, wrapping up the show here on the Sports Complex for a Monday afternoon. We will get back tomorrow and have more Super Bowl conversation, I'm sure, more NFL conversation, more basketball conversation, all the good stuff. We appreciate everybody hanging out with us on the text line today and playing with us. Tomorrow we'll get more into it, and we start to get into the NFL offseason as well. It is All-Star Weekend for the NBA coming up this weekend, so we'll get into the end of the basically first half of the season for the NBA as well. Lots of good stuff coming up on the show tomorrow. A couple last texts we got. Kyle and Steve Wilkes lost this game. Yeah, I mean there is some issues. There is some issues. Chan, good night, Petey. Appreciate you, Chan. Always appreciate you tuning in. Always appreciate it. We're gonna get out of here. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then, be kind, be safe, keep your underwear clean. We'll see you right back here tomorrow for more of the Sports Complex.